Okay, guys, welcome again. And today, inshallah, we'll finish Unit 7 by going through to the last lesson of this unit. So, in the previous lectures, we talked about dimensions. We said that the main dimensions in English is as follows. We have height, length, depth, and width. After that, we talked about the quantities. Quantity basically means numbers. How many items do you have? And we said that in English, uh, the noun divided into two sections. We have countable nouns or items that I can count, like pen, the word pen. I could say one pen, two pen, three pen. The other section or the other part is the uncountable nouns, in which we can't count these nouns, like the word rice. In order to count the uncountable, we said we need the measurement unit or the storage unit um, to be used with the uncountable noun. For example, rice, instead of saying one rice, I could say one bag of rice, because the word bag is where can we store the rice in it. I would say that if you want to make questions about the quantities, if the noun was countable, we need to use many, how many, and if the noun was uncountable, we need to use much, how much. Okay, in today's lesson, we're going to talk about future projects. Future projects. So we are now in 2020. So this is the present. Okay, we are at the present time. Anything forward, like for example 2023, is future. Okay, anything past or exceed past 2020, like 1990, is past. Okay, so this is what do we mean by future? Okay, future, anything happens not in the present and not in the past, but in the future, in the upcoming days. Okay, something did not yet happen. Okay, projects. Okay, projects basically means something or things that will not be finished at this time, but it will finish in the future. Okay, something does not already exist in our current time, the present time. Okay, something imaginary required time, financial, and efforts in order to be uh, ready and existed in the future. Okay, projects. Okay, project. For example, the vision of 2030. Okay, is a project. Okay, most of the projects in Saudi Arabia will be finished and completed at that time. Okay, so this is what we do mean by the word projects. Let's see uh, our first activity. So we are here going to talk about a project called maglev train. Okay, train. This is what do you mean by train? Okay, this is a train. Okay, its name, maglev. Okay, let's see the components of this project. As we said before, project, something imaginary, it does not exist yet in our current time. It requires time. We're gonna see this project in the future. Okay, the components, we have maintenance shaft. Maintenance, if you have uh, some issues with this device and need to be fixed, then you need to maintenance. Okay, maintenance, صيانة. Okay, we have the other part is magnetically leviated train. Okay, magnetically leviated train. Okay, basically it means train that can be moved using مغناطيس. Okay, we have something called emergency track. This is a track. Okay, track where the train can move on it. Emergency is if things went out of the hand. Okay, let's say that we have a fire in this station. Okay, this is a case of emergency. Let's say that this track is not working anymore. So this is a case of emergency. طوارئ. Okay, we have something called power supply. The power supply, the source of the power. Okay, the source where we can run this train of this project. We have something called main tunnel. This is the main tunnel. Main. Okay, for example, this is a door. Let's imagine that we have 3 doors. Okay, 1 door, 2 doors, 3 doors. This is called the main. Okay, the main where most of the guests can go through this one. Okay, this is main أساسي. Tunnel, as we can see, this is tunnel. Okay, tunnel نفق. Magnetic track, as we said before, this is the path where the train can moves on it. Track. Magnetic. Okay, المغناطيس. And finally, we have cables. Cables. So the maglev train is attached by cables. So these are the components of the maglev train. It consists of 3 tunnels, and one of them is the main tunnel. Okay, where we can see the train. The train is located in the main tunnel. It also consisted of 3 tracks. Okay, 3 tracks. One of them is emergency track. Okay, let's continue. Okay, and exercise number 2, we have to listen to an audio, and then we have to be able to answer from 3 to 7. We need to write the length of the maglev tube. Okay. We also need to write the depth and the number of cables and the maximum speed. And finally, we need the source. Okay, the source of power for train. How can we operate the train? Is it by electricity or magnetically? Okay, let's be ready. Okay, let's start.
Unit 7. Recording 42. Today on Radio Tech, I'm talking to Dr. Tor Jensen. He's a civil engineer, and his company is working on plans for a tunnel under the Atlantic Ocean. So, Tor, tell me about this tunnel, or tube. under the Atlantic. Are you building it now?
No, we're not building it now. That's a long time in the future. Right now, we're thinking about it and planning it. Another company is designing a small-scale model.
So, when will they build it?
I think they'll start in 2080 and complete it in 2100.
Wow, that is a long time in the future.
Yes, it is.
So, where will the tunnel be? How long will it be? How deep?
The tube will be below the Atlantic Ocean. It'll connect the USA with Britain. It'll be about 5,000 kilometers long and about 100 meters deep in the ocean.
Will the tube move around in the water?
No, it won't move. 100,000 cables will attach it to the sea floor.
Will the train use electricity?
No, it won't. It'll use magnetism. The tube will contain a vacuum. Maglev trains will be able to travel through the tube at 8,000 kilometers per hour.
Okay, let's see the length of the maglev tube. The length is 5,000 kilometers. What about the depth? How deep the maglev train below the sea level? 100 meters. How many cables do we have? What does it has? 1,000 cables. 100,000 cables. Okay, what about the speed of train? 8,000 kilometers per hour. And finally, the source of power for train. Magnetism, magnetic. Okay, the source of power here is magnetic. Okay, let's go to another activity. Okay, in today's lesson, inshallah, we're going to talk about the auxiliary verb will, or how to talk about things that's going to happen, okay, in the future. Okay, things that are going to happen in the future. Okay, basically, you need the beginning of the sentence, you need the subject of the sentence. We said before the subject is either the one where you're gonna talk about, okay, the idea, the main idea of the sentence. For instance, I'm gonna talk about Ahmed. Ahmed is the subject. Okay, I'm gonna talk about Ahmed and about the verb that he gonna do in the future. This is the subject. Then, after choosing the subject, we need helping verb indicate that you are talking about the future. Here we need the word will. Okay, will. After that, you need to put the verb that Ahmed gonna do in the future. For example, drive. Okay, this is the base verb. There is no addition in this verb. Okay, the use of will does not require any addition at the verb. Ahmed will drive. When? Here you have to put the time as an indication of something that's going to happen in the future. Okay, Ahmed will drive when? In 2022. Okay, so this is a correct, complete sentence using the auxiliary verb will, which it indicates we are talking about the future. Ahmed gonna drive when? In 2022, in the future. Okay, so the subject is required at the beginning of the sentence, and it is used when the subject is the main idea of the sentence, or where the sentence is talking about the subject. As we said, Ahmed is the main idea of the sentence. So we are talking about Ahmed. Okay, then we identify the time of the verb. Okay, Ahmed will drive in 2022. We have other example of subject like the word they. Okay, they is a pronoun that substitutes the plural form. Okay, any subject that is plural basically means they if you want to substitute it. Basically, you could say the engineers or they. Both of them are correct. But in order to prevent repetition, we use here they. We also have he that substitutes the muscular singular. So instead of saying Ahmed in the next sentence, I can say he. Both of them are correct. We, if you are included in the sentence. So instead of saying Ahmed and I could say we. So these are subjects. Okay. Then you need to put will. Okay. Will indicates that you are going to talk about the future. مستقبل. Okay. Without using will, we can't mention the date. So they or we will, my company or it. Okay, my company will. After will, we need to have the verb. Okay, the main verb of the sentence, build. So this is what the company gonna do in the future. They're gonna build. Okay, finally, this is the plural, the engineers will. If you want to use the negative form, something that not gonna happen in this date, okay, you can use not. So I can put not here. Okay, in between will and the main verb of the sentence. How to make questions. How to make questions. Okay, we can write two types of questions or use two forms of questions. Okay, if we don't know the date of the verb of the action, I can use when to ask about the time. When, well, then the subject of the sentence, then the main verb, then the thing they're gonna build. Okay, I don't know when, so I should use when. Will they build it? If you already have a date, but you are not sure whether this is the correct date or not, okay, we need yes or no question. You can start simply with will. Will they build it in 2050? I need yes, they will, or no, they won't. If I don't have a date, then you're gonna use when. Okay, when will they build it? An answer will be as follows: in 2050. Okay, let's make question using this sentence. Let's imagine that we don't have the date. Okay, we're gonna ask about the date of Ahmad driving the car. Simply we're gonna use when at the beginning. When will Ahmad drive? And then question mark. Okay, if you already had a date but we need to make sure whether this is the correct date or not, I could say will Ahmad drive in 2022? Will Ahmad drive in 2022? The answer will be as either yes or no. So this is short introduction of the auxiliary verb will. that is used exclusively if you want to talk about the future. Okay, and exercise 3, we need to disagree, okay, disagree with each statement, okay, each statement, each sentence. So we have 1 up to 6. Okay, let's see an example of number 1. The engineers will start, okay, the tube in 2020. So as you can see, in the brackets, we have a date that differs from this date. So this sentence should be incorrect sentence. So we need to substitute the new date with the previous one. The first thing you need to do, okay, we're gonna use the negative not. Okay, this is an example. Another example: the engineers will not start the tube in 2020. Okay, they will start it in 2080. This is an example. Won't, okay, is the contraction, the short form of will not. اختصار إلى will not. Let's see number 2. The tube will be under the Pacific. Yeah, this is for number 2. Okay. Let's see number 3. The tube will. So basically, we have to put negative not after each auxiliary verb, after each sentence that has will. Okay, after will, we should put not. So the tube will not, the train will not, the tube will not contain, the trains will not travel. And then we have to write or rewrite the sentence again using the one with the brackets. Okay, so number 3, the tube will connect Britain with Europe. Okay, we need to replace Europe with the USA. It will connect Britain with the USA. The train won't use diesel, it will use magnetism. The tube won't contain compressed air, it will contain a vacuum. Finally, the trains won't travel at 11,000 kilometers per hour, they will travel at 8,000 kilometers per hour. Okay, so we basically put the negative not, and then we change the information basically at the end of a sentence, replacing them or substituting them with the one that are given to us in the brackets. Okay, we have reading here. We need to read this interview and produce a specification chart for the bridge with the words in the box. Okay, but before going to the reading, we're gonna go through this vocabulary. Completion date. Okay, let's say that we have a project that we can say in the project, but it is not yet existed. Okay, we need a date where we can see it on the reality, on Earth. For example, this is the completion date of this project. Completion comes from complete. So this project will be completed in 2030. So this is the completion date. Deck, this is the deck. Okay, this is the deck of this bridge. Height, this is the height. Okay, to measure from this point to this point, this is the height. Length, okay, if you want to measure from this point to this point. Materials, as we can see, steel and concrete are types of materials. An item that are used in order to be able to build something like this bridge. We have pier, okay, this is the pier, the base where we can where the main bridge could stand on it. Pylon. So this is the pylon where many cables that can be attached to it. And finally, we have span. Span is the distance from this point up to this point. So this is called one span. Okay. Let's go through this passage. Bridge of the future. Bridge. So we are talking about a bridge that's gonna be existed in the future. Europe Africa Bridge. So this is its name. Radio Tech presenter. So let's go from here. Tom, what project are you working on now? We are designing Tasmim, the world's longest bridge. Longest. What do we mean by longest? Okay. Imagine that we have 3 roads. Okay, this road is longer this one, but the longest is the one in the middle. Whenever you see EST, so this is the top. Okay, so this is the longest. This is called a superlative. Where will it be? Here Tom asks about the location. Galal answers between Morocco and Spain. It will connect Europe with Africa. So the location gonna be between Morocco and Spain, and its purpose to connect Europe with Africa. What are the specifications of the bridge? So here we're gonna learn about the bridge and its specification. And as we said before, specification basically means technical description. So we're gonna see numbers here. It will be almost 50 kilometers long. In our design, the bridge will have 2 spans. Each span will be 4,800 meters long. That's a very long span. How will that be possible? The bridge will have 3 steel pylons and concrete piers. The pylon will be 1,000 meters high. The deck will be very light and strong. It will be made of fiberglass. Many engineers think you won't be able to build this bridge. I don't agree. I think we will complete it around 2030. Okay, so this was the description, the technical description of this bridge. Basically the numbers, the distance from this point to this point, the material of this deck. Okay, how long is it? How high is it? So basically went through a lot of numbers here. Okay. So we finished unit 7, but before that we need to go through the units. So this lesson we talked about future projects, future something that happened not in our present time but in the future, in the upcoming days. Project something is not, something does not exist in this time but gonna be available in the future. That requires financial aid as well as workforce and engineers for مشاريع. Okay, in this lesson we talked about a future project, an example of future project that is called maglev train. I would say the components of this bridge are maintenance shaft, magnetically leviated train, emergency track, cables, magnetic track, main tunnel, power supply. Then we talked about how to make sentences in the future. We said at the beginning we need the subject of the sentence. Okay, what we are going to talk about. So this is the subject. For instance, here we put Ahmed as an example, and then we're going to use will as an indicator that you're going to talk about the future. Ahmed going to do something in the future. What is it? And then after that, we need the main verb, drive. Finally, we need the date. If you want to make questions, we said we can use two forms. The first one, if you don't have the date, the date of the time, then you're gonna use when. When will Ahmed drive? When will Ahmed drive the car? Okay, the answer gonna be a date that we can see here. If we already had the date, but we need to make sure whether the date is correct or not, we need to test the accuracy of the information we had. You simply start with word will, and then the subject will Ahmed drive in 2022. And then we learn how to make negative form, nafi. Okay, we said basically you need to put not between will and the main verb. Here you have to put not, so this sentence is incorrect. And the contraction, the short form is won't. So won't is a contraction of the phrase will not. And finally, we talked about a project that is going to happen in the future that is called Europe-Africa Bridge. We go through some of these vocabulary that we already have been taking, have taken them before in our first lesson. Okay, let's now go to the workbook. Workbook on the shop. Okay, in exercise 1, we need to match these words with the appropriate blank. So an example here is the word bridge. This is an example. Okay. For B, we use the word tunnel. So this is tunnel. This is a tunnel. Okay, where can cars go through an obstacle? D is cable. So these are cables. This is pylon, where the cable can be attached to. J is the deck. So this is the deck. This is the deck. Span is h. The distance from this point to this point is a span. C is the road. Okay, road. So we have a deck at the base. Above it, we can put the road. Okay, so a deck is like a base. And finally, we have pier. Okay, these are pier. That works at the stand. Okay, and number 2, we need to make sentences. Write the words in the correct order. So we need to reorder these words into a correct sentence. Okay, let's see number 2. Deep is meter 25 river. Okay, the correct form, the river, this is the subject, is because we are talking about singular, 25 meters deep. As we said before, if you saw an adjective, you have to put it at the end. Is meter 300 span long, so we have also an adjective, so we need to put it at the end. The span is 330 meters long. The pylons have a height of 100 meters. Again, if you have the noun of an adjective of a dimensions, we have to put it at the beginning. Another example, the length of the road is 22 kilometers. So again, we have length at the noun. We put it at the beginning. Then afterwards, we need to put of. The length is part of the main subject of the sentence. The road. The road is singular. As a result, we use it. And then you need to mention the number. And finally, the measurement unit. Finally, the deck had a width of 8 meters. Okay, this is another example of how we can write a sentence like that, especially if we have the verb has, يمتلك or عنده. We can change the sentence into this form or this structure by saying the width of the deck is 8 meters. The width of the deck is 8 meters. Again, we can change this sentence into this one by using have يمتلك أو عنده. The length of the road has a length of 22 kilometers. Okay, in this exercise, we were requested to write answers and questions. Okay, let's see number 2. Number 2, we were able to make questions by using how long, because we are asking about the number. We're going to use how at the beginning, and then after that we need to put the adjective of the dimension. How long is the inner span? It is 1490 meters. So this is the length. This is the answer. Number 2. As we did in number 2, we are asking about the number. As a result, we need to use how. How, after that, we put the adjective. How high are the pylons? They are 250 meters. We could say here high. Again, how wide, how high is the deck above water? It is 39.2 meter, and here it is 50 meter. So again, if you want to ask about dimensions, you need to use how in the beginning of the sentence, and then you need to use the adjective form of the dimension. So this is length. The adjective is long. Okay. After that, you need to write the subject. Which part you are asking about its length? We are asking about the span. So we write here how long the span. It is singular or plural. Singular, then you should use is. Okay, for number 2, lesson number 2, the quantities. As we said before, quantity means numbers. Okay, we have to complete the text. This is the text. Okay, we have blanks, approximately 40 blanks. In order to be able to answer these exercises, we already were giving these informations. So these informations, we need to extract the most important of them, and then we need to put them in the blanks. Let's see an example for this. The building is called, it was completed in, so we have a date. We need to look for a date. Okay, this is the date, 2003. The story building is 180 high. Story, as we said before, basically means floors. Floors. Second floor, third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor. Okay. 40 is 180 meters high. The building is made of, okay, so we need to look for materials. Let's go to materials. This is the materials. Just you need to uh, copy this into the blanks. So we have reinforced concrete, steel, aluminum, glass. So we have 4 materials. Okay, the glass windows have an area of 24,000 meter square. The building has, so I'm going to go through this exercise quickly. The building has 18 lifts. Its lift travels at 6 meters per hour, I think. Each floor area of building is circle. Is a circle. The floors at the top and bottom are small. The floors in the middle of the building are bigger. Bigger the footprint. I think if you remember, we already had this word in the table of the building is small. All the glass on the side of the building is flat. But on the top of the building, there is one round glass lens. It is 2.4 meters wide. So in order to be able to answer this exercise, as we said, we need to go back to the table and try to pick the information from that table. So these are listening. And finally, the last exercises of today's lessons. Again, we have a passage. We need to pick informations to complete this table. Okay, we need the possible completion date from where we can obtain this. This is the project. Finish, complete. Both of them have the same meaning. Okay, the number of tunnels. Okay, let's see how many tunnels we do have. So we have 2 tunnels. Okay, length of tunnels. This is the length. Depth. Just to look for depth, the word depth or deep. $800 meters. Below basically means the depth. Maximum speed. The speed. This is the speed. Source of power. The source of the power. Okay, we need the number of trains per day. This is the number of trains. So this is the source of power, electricity. Okay, so we were able to answer and to pick these informations from the passage by using the words that we were given. Okay, the location, completion date, a date here, we need a number of the tunnels, length, depth, the speed, source of power, find the number of trains per day. Okay, in exercise 2, we need to change the long forms to short forms. This is a long form. This is a short form, اختصار. Okay, number 2, there will be 2 tunnels. The shortcut will be, there will be 2 tunnels. Number 3, instead of saying they will, we can say they'll finish the tunnel. Or 4, the trains will not, so we need a short form of will not. The trains won't use magnetism. There will be more than 200 trains per day. There'll be more than 200 trains per day. Okay, let's go through this exercise quickly. And finally, we have the word list. Okay, in order to be able to understand all the previous lessons, you need to try to identify the meanings of each word. So we have nouns, verbs, adjectives, unit nouns. So all of them were used in these lessons. If you don't understand them, you will not be able to understand this lesson precisely. Let's go through this vocabulary quickly. So we have cable, we have a deck, pier. So these are the components of the bridge as it is clearly shown here. Span and pylon. This is the pylon. The tunnel, compressed air, diesel, magnetism, vacuum. So these are sources of basically power. Now that can be used in design for التصميم. We have completion, depth, design, elevator, footprint, foundation, height, length, location, place, material, items, quantity, number, specification, description, story, floor, structure, form, width. Okay, these are the materials that can be used in building the bridge or a tunnel. Aluminium, cement, fiberglass, glass, glue, oil, paint, reinforced concrete, steel, super glue. Unit nouns. What do you mean unit noun? If you want to count the uncountable, you need to learn the unit nouns for each noun. For example, rice can be used with bag, water or any kind of liquid can be used with bottle, 1 bottle of liquid. Okay, bucket, like if you want to use it with chips. 10, okay, this is a unit to store paint. Finally, tube. We had here verbs. Attach. Okay, if we have, for example, 2 wires, this is attach. I'm attaching this wire with this one. توصيل. Build. Okay, I'm building the tower. يبني. Fix. Okay, something not working properly. We need to fix it. Okay, lay, make. Okay, make, for example, make kabsa. Put. For instance, we are at the classroom. Okay, let's imagine that I'm teaching, and suddenly I saw a student who is using his mobile. I simply could say to him, you have to put down the mobile. And finally, these are the adjectives that can describe noun: amazing, amazing, رائع, approximately, around. I'm not certain about the number, approximately. Deep, high, inner, long, outer. So inner is the opposite of outer. Super fast, fast, and wide. Okay, let's say number one. Find nouns for these adjectives. I need the nouns. These are the dimensions. I need their nouns. Long, length, high, height, wide, width, deep, depth. Okay, we need to make phrases from the words in the box. Basically, we need to make matching the storage unit or the unit nouns with the uncountable nouns, the appropriate uncountable nouns. A bottle of oil, a tube of glue, a bag of cement, a bucket of screws, a tin of paint. In this exercise, we need to use some of the verbs that we saw in the word list. Build, pierce, put the balance, attach, as we said before, attach, attaching the wires, make, making, capsa, for example, fix, I'm fixing my car, finally build. Okay, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. See you inshallah in Unit 8.